For the first time in my life, I am so happy to be 70 because I fall into 1B.
That's great. Did you sign up? You can sign up, right away.
I put myself on an alert, but when I looked last night, only people age 75 and older ought to be signing up.
Oh,
So,
75.
That's what I heard too, yeah.
Okay.
and then they're doing 75, and then teachers and grocery store workers. I mean, I can control my activities, but somebody who works at Stop and Shop has to go to work every day. So they understandably have a priority over moi. So, but when
the news
to the 65, over 65, I'm in.
Right. The news said they thought this 1B would take 9 or 10 weeks. So that puts us to the end of March before 1C, which I don't know the age limit on 1C, and hopefully
64.
design and construction will be included too, I think.
Jennifer, whom you met at the, she was my +1 at the conference in, where the heck was it? Not Providence. But at any rate, Newport. She and my son-in-law have finally recovered, and both tested negative yesterday, so they can go back to work.
How long did it take?
It's now 9 a.m.
Okay.
And I think we should, let's see, we're missing Loran. Is Loran planning on attending?
Well, she just sent an email that she hadn't gotten the invite, but she was trying to get on, but she had to leave by 9:30. So I would say that we should start.
Very good.
I'm gonna promote her to allow her to talk, and then I can promote her, David, to.
Excellent. Is that the number that just showed up on the 203551?
I don't know, but I'm taking a chance that it is.
Can you
David?
identify yourself? 203-551-2438, please.
It's probably Manny Machado at Antonelli Associates.
Well, Manny's also here separately, unless he's also calling in.
Yeah, I'm calling in and I can see you on screen.
Okay, very good, Manny.
Okay.
Welcome.
Thank you.
All right, so she's not with us yet, but we will start. I will.
David,
Go ahead.
I just wanted to bring to your attention, if I may ask the board, but we have an item under new business that I would like the board to vote onto their agenda when the time is appropriate.
Thank you, Bob. Let me share my screen. Screen 3. Everybody see that? Should be the agenda.
Not yet. I'm busy looking at 3 of us have China in the background. There we go.
I got it now.
What are you seeing? Are you seeing the agenda?
Yes, with
Yes.
with the
Complete with all the annotations on
yes.
paragraphs and.
You got annotation mode on.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Bob. I mean, I've been meaning to say this for a while. It would be good if we got these as PDFs, but
Yes, you're right, David. I have to do that.
I'll
It's
see if I
safer.
can get the annotations off. How's that? Is that better? Does everybody stop complaining now?
It's, yeah, it's
That's
clean.
great. Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay. So meeting's called to order. I am going to, let's move right to item 1, review of minutes of November 6th, Architectural Licensing Board. Does anybody have anything to comment on that?
No, I make a motion, we accept the minutes as presented.
We have a second?
Second. I'll second.
Second, Twig Holland. Okay, discussion. Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstain. Okay, I get it passes unanimously. I'm going to ask that we move forward items 4 and 5 to the front of the agenda, so that because Paulette needs to leave the meeting shortly. So under item 4, I'm going to add, and this kind of gets this a little bit out of whack, but because we also have a report on the complaints, but specifically if Paulette can comment on those items that are currently under the legal review. So let me shift, if I can. Let's see. I need to show small, show active. I'm trying to figure out how to stop sharing my screen the way I did it. I'm sorry. Oh, goodness. I'm not sure how to. Oh,
I think
maybe.
it's at the top. There should be a stop share.
Yeah, it's the problem is the view I'm in now is it's not stop video, rename pin, hide self view. Oh my. Oh, here it is.
So complicated.
I found it.
All right.
Stop share. And now
There we go.
share screen. I want to go to that. So now we're looking at, and honestly, Bob, I wasn't sure what. So now can you see the
Reports, yes.
complaint reports? Okay. There were 2 that were sent, and they're a little different, and they have the same file name.
Okay, this
Sort
is
of.
Pamela Brown, Director of Investigations.
Hi,
Those
Pamela.
reports are generated, good morning, everyone. Those reports are generated by my division and not legal. There are some cases that are on there.
Yeah, no, I understand that. And I wanted to bring this up because we wanted to ask Paulette to comment on things that have been referred to legal. And my question right now is that there's 2 separate reports that are provided. One's a 1-page report and one's a 2-page report. And there is duplication, that the same items are on both.
Yes, because they remain open over the course of the 2 quarters that we run the reports. So if they are remaining open, then they will appear as an open onto the following report.
One goes all the way to December 31st.
Okay,
David.
so
Yeah,
that's the one we should be talking about.
Yeah.
And because they have the same start date as 1/1/2017. So anyhow, major preamble there, Paulette. Maybe you can speak toward those items that are within legal. Are you still with us, Paulette?
No, I'm not even sure if Paulette has seen this report, so I'm not even quite sure.
Yeah, I haven't seen it. I know that, I think it's 2017-125. I will be closing that because we did settle that case. I think that's the one. I think it's 2017-125. I can't remember exactly the number.
Yeah.
But I did just settle that case, so that should be closed. I'll be closing that one. And the other 2018 ones, I don't remember what those cases are about. I haven't had a chance to review them, so
Okay, so I guess our ask at the next meeting, Paulette, is just to get an update on those.
Yep.
We had several other items on the agenda that we're carrying over, and that is we asked Bob to ask this question about this conflict we have between folks that are getting a DAS certification as a minority business and the requirements of that, and how they appear to conflict with the ownership requirements of our licensing statutes. And I think there was some discussion, right, Paulette, in the fall between you and I and DAS Construction Services Council. Have you had any other thoughts about this? My feeling is from the ALB's, from DCP's perspective, it seems that DAS, not DAS Construction Services, but DAS, who authorizes minority participation, is not following the ownership requirements as established by the ALB.
I think I think we had this discussion, David, that I think if there is a substantive conflict with our statutes, so that when DAS gets these contracts, that they now then violate our licensing requirements, that perhaps that's a conversation that I can bring it up to Julianne and Leslie. Maybe it's a statutory thing. Maybe it's an MOU between the two agencies. I don't know what the fix is, but let me bring that up with Julianne.
Here's why I think it's an ALB issue, and because it's at the broadest level. A firm represents itself as a firm, as a minority architect to municipalities or the state or whatever, and yet they don't meet the 2/3 ownership requirements in terms of an architect in order to meet those minority requirements, then they're really not practicing as a minority. They may be legal as an architectural firm, but not as a minority architectural firm. And I think it's a question of representation and ethics and other kinds of things. So, I mean, that's why I think it's less about, so in my other, where I wear my other hat, and we're talking about state contracts, I shouldn't be the one interpreting that, nor our legal counsel. I believe it should be agreed to by DCP and DAS, the broader DAS, and consistently applied. So I do think that that would be helpful, I think, if that discussion occurred between DCP and DAS, the minority group.
And David, what would be helpful is if you could put something together, like an email with the issues that you have, because I don't want to miss anything, and send like an email to Julianne, Leslie, you can CC me on it with what the issue is. And then this way, at least there's hopefully some clarity as to what you see the issue to be. And then we can go from there to see whether there's a fix or a discussion that should occur between the two agencies. And if you can highlight the statute, because I know we talked about it. I don't remember what the statute is.
Does the board agree with me?
I do. And I'm wondering at the same time, are there other applications so that is this a unique circumstance where it's only architecture, or are there other professions that
I believe it applies to other professions as well. Because,
okay.
It depends on what their specific
ownership
requirements are.
Yeah, no, that I would understand. So it's not like we're asking somebody to do something that's special for us. It has
I think it
other
applies across the
applications.
boards. We have at Construction Services asked the question to the minority folks. We haven't gotten any kind of feedback, and that's also on my list from, again, wearing my other hat, trying to settle it that way. But like I said, I think it's broader, and Angela, Phil, any input?
Yeah, David, I mean, fundamentally, I agree. Again, you can't practice architecture if you don't meet the statute. We don't qualify them whether or not they're minorities or non-minorities. That we don't care if it's a minority-owned firm or a non-minority owned firm. They still have to be 67% ownership. So
To me, it was always sort of a separate thing. And if, you know, I mean, DAS is a client for a lot of architects, so obviously that's of interest to you. But to me, it was separate, that a firm needs to say that they meet both requirements separately if that's what they are trying to achieve.
I'm not going to pursue this unless the board wants me to pursue it.
I think it's a DAS issue more than it's our issue, to be honest. I mean, our statute's pretty clear.
I agree our statutes are clear. The problem is that there's other statute, no, it's not even a statute. Well, it's a policy, and it's not construction services policy. It's a policy of that doesn't recognize DCP's statutes, and that's why there needs to be this conversation between the two agencies. But again, I mean, it seems like I'm just getting kind of, you know, it's not our problem, but it is our problem.
Yeah, I definitely get your concern. I mean, if someone's saying that they're a minority architecture business, but they don't have the 2/3, they can't say that.
Well, you're saying that, but that's not how it's being interpreted right now by DAS.
Yeah, then it is a problem. DAS needs to understand our 2/3 rule. And they possibly need to make that clear to whoever's potentially violating this.
Anyhow, so there we are, Paulette. Does it make sense? I mean, I'll be happy to send a clarifying, you know, a letter as clear as I can possibly make it to Julianne and Leslie and CCU.
And this way, at least you can get, you know, Julianne's position. And by the way, have you met our new David Cousins is going to be substituting for Julianne. He's going to be the interim legal director when she goes out on maternity leave soon. Have you met him yet?
No.
Okay. All right. So include David Cousins in that email. Julianne should be going out soon, I think, on maternity leave. So at least, you know, flagging the issue and then at least getting a response. It may be that they may disagree and say, we don't think this is a DCP issue, or yes, this is a DCP issue. So I think that would be important just to get that email out, clarifying what you believe.
You know, to be honest, I get conflicting messages from DCP. On that one hand, it's like, we're just the administrators. The board makes all its decisions. And the other hand, it's like, don't make any decision unless you run it through DCP. And it's a little frustrating for me.
Okay.
But I will do that. And so let's move on. Do we have other issues? Digital signatures. This is one that I think the industry should be carrying, because we're clear as to what we require. Engineers are clear as to what they require. Landscape architects are clear as to what they require. None of them agree with each other. I would think that this would be an issue for consumer protection, because it creates confusion again as to what's required for when it comes to drawings being submitted to the authority having jurisdiction. And there should be consistency across the boards, statutory consistency, so that there isn't this conflict. But
so you say, is the inconsistency, are you saying it's between the two principles, like the two disciplines, like
yeah, if you were to look at the
professional engineers?
Yeah, if you were to look at the digital signature requirements for the three boards, so you have architects, you have engineers, landscape engineers, and surveyors, right? That's the other board. And then you have landscape architects are their own board, correct? Or are they lumped in?
Landscape architects is their own entity, their own board.
Okay. In each of the statutes, the language for digital signatures is different. Ours and the engineers are similar, though the engineering one is, I would interpret it as somewhat more restrictive, technologically more restrictive than ours is. Ours was based on model law at NCARB. And then you have landscape architects, which is very, I would characterize as loose, meaning, if you use what we're all familiar now with things like DocuSign and other such services, architects, engineers sort of meet those intentions, whereas the landscape architects basically say, all you need to do is put an image file. In other words, a photo of your seal and your signature. No protections are indicated at all. So they're very different. And the problem is that documents are usually presented together and submitted to the building officials as a set of documents. And in any case, administratively, from my perspective, again, wearing my other hat, I don't have a problem. We're just going to apply the most stringent requirements that we see fit. And so, the LAs can't, when they submit their drawings, they can't just put an image file on it. It needs to be a digital signature. But that's not, it's a little more difficult, I think, for a lot of municipalities. We have 167 whatever towns. And although we haven't had this clamoring of concern, that's because I think by and large, most architects aren't even following the architectural statutes. We're starting to make them follow them for our projects. So in a nutshell, that wasn't much of a nutshell, but.
So I'm not clear really on what the issue would be, because I look at it in terms of, let's say there's enforcement. What I'm going to look at is what the statute says with respect to the particular discipline, whether it's architects, landscape architects, or professional engineers, to see whether they're meeting that digital signature requirement. So I don't understand why they would need to be the same, because even if it's the building officials, they're going to be looking at hopefully what the requirement is under the statute for that particular signature, and they shouldn't be applying, let's say, the requirement for architects or the more stringent one, to, let's say, landscape architects, if that's not as stringent, because that wouldn't be what the law requires. So I'm not sure, maybe I'm missing something, but I'm not sure why they need to be the same.
Well, for one thing, they used to be the same. When it was a paper document, it was a wet seal and a wet signature. It was all the same. And then over time, things have been adopted, and for whatever reason, expediency, I would say the landscape, I don't know really why they chose whatever path they chose. They chose something that has less protections. It's not, from a business standpoint, I could argue that it's not in their best interest to do things the way they're doing them, because it doesn't protect them from a liability standpoint. Anybody can Photoshop any kind of signature onto any kind of thing. However, because the statutes are not consistent, whereas they used to be they are on the paper side, but they're not on the electronic side. Again, I think it just causes confusion. I think it's from a practical standpoint, it's not ideal. And it is there, and they are all overseen by DCP. So I don't think we have to change architectural ones at all. I just bring it up to DCP as a potential issue.
Questions, if I may?
Sure.
Do building officials know what the requirements are? Do they research them before they get documents to make sure that everything is authentic and following the rules? So are they familiar with the requirements? And then the second thing is, it sounds as though the weak link may be with landscape architects. So is that the only policy that needs to be beefed up?
I'd say that's
To
the
me-
weakest,
To
that's the
me, yeah,
weakest.
they seem to be
weakest
the
link.
weakest policy. So is it not that PEs and architects need to change, but that landscape architects need to come up with a validation standard that meets architects and or PEs?
Well, like I said, the language in the architects is dissimilar from the architect language in the engineers. And the engineers, you know, from what I've done, a little research I've done is more restrictive. In any case, yes, the landscape architects. What was your first question? About the building officials.
Yeah,
You know, there's a broad array of building officials, and there are some building officials that are keenly aware of this problem and they bring it up. And then, but the vast majority, I would say, they're just beginning. I mean, this whole disease recently has brought to the forefront, you know, the issue more of using less paper. And so I think it's going to become more of an issue. So I believe that many people have been submitting documents to building officials if they're permitting them to come in electronically with just image files, even architects and engineers. I have no evidence of that, but
We had that focus group or committee or whatever you want to call it. Is that going to continue?
I think it should. I think the lead should be from AIA though, not from the ALB.
Okay.
Because it's an industry issue. It's not a licensing issue. Our statutes are fine.
Are clear. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Should probably talk to the president of AIA about that.
I should. I am.
I'll send her a message.
In any case, I guess this should just stay as an open item. Or we can close it. What does the board think? What should we do here?
I think it is an AIA issue, and I think that we should close it on our end. We could always reopen it if we need to have more conversation at some point, but I don't see anything that we need to do right now.
Nothing, there's no action for this board to take other than refer it to AIA.
No, I mean,
for
I brought it up
resolution.
here originally as in a proactive manner, as I saw a potential issue, but I think we've done that. We've flagged this issue. I think I think I shared out a guidance document that Darren Hobbs shared with building officials about how to properly, what the statutes are. He pointed them out, all of them, with links in his document, and those were provided to the building officials. So they should be aware now of what the requirements are.
And I know Gina's on the call. Gina, did we share this with membership yet? I don't think we did.
No, we haven't shared it yet because we were waiting for like a final document.
I thought I provided that from Darren. No?
I don't know if it was a final one, David. I'll go back and check, or maybe if you could send it.
I will resurrect that.
I think we just didn't know if the conversation was complete here. It sounds like we're completing it here in this meeting. And so AIA will now take this conversation to one of our groups, probably Pro Practice, and take it from there.
Yeah, I mean, I have names of, I've collected some names from the engineers group. It took forever to get them to even say, provide me with some names. In any case, and I'll share those out as well with Gina as potential people that could come in from the other, because we did talk about maybe bringing the conversation at AIA broader with other representatives.
Yeah.
So
No, thank you.
I'll take that offline, but we'll take that off of our agenda here for future meetings. And with that, Paulette, recognizing your schedule conflicts, does anything
Did you have a question? Yeah, on the agenda, you had something about the proposed statutory changes. Did you already get an update on that?
No.
Your proposed, okay, so they're already in DCP's legislative package. There's no bill number yet, but we've been told that it will be in the governor's proposed bills that will be released next month. And so if you have any additional questions on this pending legislation, just reach out to Leslie O'Brien.
And this is basically last year's package.
Yes, yes.
Any
Excuse me, we're
questions?
talking about old business 5A, correct?
Yes.
Yes. Sorry, I'm just jumping around here. Okay, anybody else have any questions for Paulette?
Yay. Happy New Year,
Yeah.
everybody.
Hearing none. Thank you, Paulette.
You too, Paulette.
Paulette.
Thank you.
Bye, guys. Take care.
Bye. All righty. So I'm going to go back to the agenda. Comments of any or concerns of any person present today? Manny, Gina,
No
Oh, no, I'm
comment.
good. Thank you.
then hearing none, I will, item number 3, DCP investigation, division complaint status report. Pamela.
Hello again, Pamela Brown, Director of Investigations. There are 2 reports. They're dated by case file number, not actually by when they were ran, so that you'll see that January 1, 2017 on both reports, because that's based on the date of the case. The case numbers start with the year, with a dash, and then the actual sequential number that we receive them in the office. So both reports were ran after, or these are case reports since your last meeting. And there are 2. One has 1 page and one has 2 pages.
Can I ask a question? Gina, you've seen this report. Are you, is it up to date from your perspective?
As far as, yes, I don't know what these cases are, so I can't say for sure, because when I receive a response from DCP, I don't receive a case number. I don't believe. And right now, all of those cases are actually in the office, so I'd have to go back and check if that's the case. But as far as, and I don't know I don't know if we're the third party complaint, which I believe we are. So I think they are the ones that are still open.
Yes, you should be receiving the acknowledgement letter from our complaint center upon entering. That should have a complaint number on it. And then an email letter, a letter of assignment telling you, usually it goes to Keith Lombardi with the case file number, will be a follow-up email. As long as the email is correct in our system, you should be getting both of those. You should be getting 2. If you have an account and you are submitting, this is for Gina, by the way, if you have an account set up, you can go into each of those case files to see. You won't get the word for word status, but it'll tell you where that case is. Cases with investigator, case correspondence sent to respondents, correspondence sent to the complainant, file reassigned to legal. So as long as you have an online account established, you can actually track that in that movement in the system. So you will not get the full case notes. You'll just get where that case is.
So Pamela, what I'll do is, I'm going to be going to the office next week. I will check and see if I do have the paperwork. I can tell you, I keep records of everything, and I don't remember receiving emails. I do remember receiving hard copies in the mail. So I'll check that, and then if I could get back to you and take this offline, that would be great. In case there's any issues, then you can tell me where to go from there.
Yeah, let me know, because we're getting away from paper because we don't have the staff in the office. So I know most of this is done electronically. We just might need to make sure that we have your proper email in your contact on our complaint e-license, it's called. So if you want to just check with me or just shoot me an email, I can update it for you. You can just shoot me an email. I'll make sure that it's correct.
Thank you. As I said, I'll check in with you next week.
Okay, sounds great.
Any other discussions about the report from the investigations and complaints side? No?
No,
Thank you
just,
very much.
yeah, thank you. This consistency now is wonderful, and the format, and
Okay,
Very
appreciate
much
hearing that.
appreciate the effort, yes.
Thank you.
I think I'll call Ed Jeter and Bob Hurd and let them know that we've got it all under control now.
Yeah.
Anyhow, thank you, Pamela.
Thank you, and Happy New Year to all of you. Take care.
Happy New Year to you too. Okay, let's see, stop sharing that. And back to the agenda. Screen 3, share. Okay. Do you see the agenda again, everybody?
Yes.
So we just finished item number 4. Item number 5, where I think 5A would now come off the agenda, or should we keep it on just as we track this through the legislative process?
We should keep
Yeah,
it on.
let's track it. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Okay. 5B, I'm going to keep on because I need to clarify that with the Leslie Julianis, the discussion went, and then 5C, I think it should come off the future agenda. There should just be notes in the minutes that per our discussions. Okay. Item 6, new business. 6A.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir. Oh, did you want to
Just as a
add something
reminder,
at this point?
I do have an item for the board's consideration, please, for new business.
Please.
It's a candidate applying for her initial license, having passed the examination. Her name is Alexandra Thompson, applying by successful completion of written exam with an NCARB certified counsel record. To register her license, or her credential number is ARI 14348. Alexandra Thompson, for the board's consideration at some point. It came
So
in
this would be
after
in
the
addition
agenda
to
went out,
application.
and
This is under 6A. So in addition to Ms. Shubhashri Balakumar, is that right? We're adding a second candidate?
Well, actually, Mr. Chairman, 6A, she is, Ms. Balakumar does not have an accredited degree. She is applying, the board would have to, someone would review.
Oh,
her
okay, I didn't
her
understand that.
credentials
So,
for the exam. Yeah, I'm sorry.
all
The
right.
candidate I just introduced has passed the examination. Normally we have a candidate, a category here in the new business in almost
Yeah.
every meeting. This one we didn't. However, this candidate came in a few days after the agenda went out, and I wanted to.
Oh, all right.
see if we
I
can get her
understand
on
now. I thought we
before the
were
trip.
actually voting on Ms. Shubhashri Balakumar. Didn't understand that was needed an evaluation by the board. So therefore, why don't we take that one first? I don't know what that item would be. 6.
It'd be, 6D, I guess would be.
Yeah, yeah. 6D is
I
moved.
just want to say, this is the first time we've had no initial candidates on the agenda
Yeah.
until
You're
now.
right,
It's
Angela.
usually
You're right.
6A.
I checked. Yeah.
That's
you're
why.
right.
That's what. Thus my
And
confusion.
I checked and rechecked. Yeah.
Is this because?
I checked and rechecked because it's the first time it's ever happened, really, that I could remember. So.
Is this because of the cut scores? I wonder at NCARB, they're not being able to release the cut scores on the new exam.
I think it's also because a lot of these folks got bumped and couldn't take the exam during COVID. Prometrics was canceling everybody. And so now we're seeing that delay where people either gave up or they weren't able to take the exam.
Okay. So anyhow, so let's bring 6D as the next order of business. Application of, and the name again?
Alexandra Thompson.
So I moved Alexandra Thompson be approved for licensure in the state of Connecticut. Is that the right? I don't know what the right.
Recommended to the commissioner for licensing as an architect.
Thank you.
Question.
I recommend for licensure. Do we have a second?
Second, Phil.
Okay, any discussion?
Yeah, I mean, I hate to go by what I can find on LinkedIn or otherwise on profiles on the internet, but she's still listed as a student at Yale, and work experience was prior to her receiving the degree. So Bob, I just want to confirm her AXP hours are all in order with NCARB?
Yeah, it showed as being satisfied. I can double check, but yeah, when I looked over her credential sheet, I believe it, it did show as being satisfied. Recommendation was registered from NCARB, so I can double check.
Yeah, we have to take that at whole cloth, the or face value for
Right.
and NCARB, provided the council record to Bob, and there's no exceptions or anything.
Exactly.
Like that. Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. That would be unanimous. Phil was the second, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, then now to 6A. You're asking one of the board members to stand down and review the package. Is that correct, Bob?
Yes, this candidate, she does not have an accredited degree. She has a foreign degree, and she has an ESA NCARB evaluation. I have credentials, an unbound record, credentials that I collected from her in her file that I will forward to whoever would review her application.
So help me out here. If NCARB has evaluated her education, does that then, under their new procedures, does that then equate it with an AAB accredited degree?
I'd have to look at the report to see where it landed in terms of where her education is relative to the requirements for the accredited degree. In the past, that's something, the board usually, took that into account in conjunction with her work experience or an applicant's work experience to see if one kind of filled in for the other.
So this isn't the same as the broadly experienced foreign architect. It's just they just did an evaluation of the degree only.
Correct. As far as I can see, yes. She has an ESA evaluation of the degree,
right.
And her work experience is documented in an unbound council record.
All right. So Phil did the last one, I think, right, Phil?
That would be correct.
And I think I did the one before that.
You did. And that's why Angela's being awful quiet back there.
Well,
Are you still president of AIA, or did you give up your
no,
leadership?
I'm being quiet because she contacted me and we had a conversation, and I don't know if it's appropriate if I take this.
I think it's more appropriate for you to take it than for any of us to take it, because we're not biased.
Okay. This is not going to be an easy one because it has to do with a foreign degree. I mean, I don't know. I really don't know how to evaluate an education.
This is a question. If you feel you already have information on her that is not, that we don't know, because neither Phil nor I presumably have talked to her, I'm suggesting that might be more appropriate for you to carry on, since you stand down from the board and you only give your advice.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, candidly, I think actually it'd be an issue in reverse, because you've had direct contact with her aside from the board. So if you don't stand down and one of us stands down, I'm not sure really it'd be appropriate for you to be voting on it.
do we have experience evaluating foreign degrees? Are there resources I can use?
We've done it before. I had one a number of years ago that was had various issues, I believe. But what you have is the evaluation from NCAR that has done a side-by-side evaluation based on the ESA evaluation, I guess it's called. So that should give you guidance. And I think you also can reach out to NCARB in terms of if you had any questions about how they do that and what does it mean.
Okay.
In terms of the education, I don't, in terms of the work experience, that'll be whatever it has there.
Right,
just
right.
to
And
have
she's
adequate-
asking, I assume she's asking to take the exam and go the route of getting a Connecticut license and not her NCARB certificate. I don't know. I need that to be made clear to me, is what is she asking for? So I don't know if that's clear in the folder. Is she asking to become, we can't give her an NCARB certification, but we could give her an initial Connecticut licensure, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Angela, I believe that is what she's applying to take the exam to become an architect.
So she
Okay.
wants to take the exam.
Okay.
Yes, that's what I,
The one I had a number of years ago was where somebody wanted not to take the exam and just wanted
Right,
to
just become
get
licensed. Right,
Yeah.
okay.
based on prior experience and other licenses in other jurisdictions.
I believe
So that's better.
she wants to take the exam, but I have all her records, and whomever gets the.
Okay, Bob, I will stand down and send it over. Thank you.
My recommendation in the future, because this has happened to me, is people contact me, directly, and I simply tell them to talk to Bob. And,
Right.
to talk to the department.
I
determine.
will say this was a very persistent person.
I can second that, Angela. The first thing, and to kind of follow what David just said, the first thing that she needed to do is to get an application into the department. Because I was getting emails with letters of recommendation, bits and pieces of things that would ultimately go in her credential, but we don't have one for her yet, or didn't have one at the time. So I'm not going to store things until she becomes a candidate. Don't send anything to me. Get yourself
All right,
established.
I think we shouldn't even discuss this anymore. I think we should
Right.
just, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
But my question to you, Angela, just this isn't an agenda item, but are you still president of AIA, or are you now relieved those responsibilities to the successor?
He just became
No.
president.
This is my year.
Oh, I thought it was last year. Oh, you were vice
No.
president last year,
Was president-elect last year.
president-elect.
And I get past president next year. It never ends.
When's your inauguration? Can we object to it? I'm just asking,
Well, if you had attended the annual meeting virtually, David, you would have seen the gavel passed.
Okay. So when's your inauguration? Oh, it was already.
I
Right.
assume when the gavel passes, that's when it
Yes, I would
starts.
say that's correct.
It was in December. Thank you.
Okay.
But I could have one. My thought would be in a bunker in an undisclosed location somewhere.
So congratulations.
Thank you.
All right. Now I feel guilty that I made you do this. But
I was hoping my status as president could recuse me from.
it will for the next one for sure.
Nice try.
Thank you.
All right, so under 6B, just for informational purposes, seems like we have quite a bevy of out-of-state architects that are ready, willing, and able to send us their fees for licensure. 85 candidates.
Yeah, this is a massive
big number.
list. Again,
And-
just wanted to note, I mean, is this sort of, there's a lot of work in Connecticut now and, people are coming in. Does this, even
If I may,
the 6C corporate practice is a large list as well.
Yeah. And when I sent the agenda out, that's kind of, I put the gate down. I've got another 40 something and counting, ready to go for the next meeting in March. There was really a tremendous amount coming in of reciprocal applicants. Have been very busy with this, so.
Wow. And so just curiosity, Bob, with this amount of activity, are you able to do some relatively decent turnaround times? Are you struggling to, has it doubled the turnaround time, or how's that going?
No, it's become more efficient because, I don't have as many telephone calls, and, everything is by email now, so I can stay very much focused on keeping up with my work queue in terms of, applications that are coming in, those that are pending. So I try to, I look at how many come in per day, and I try to, get them out as quickly as possible. So to answer your question, I think the turnaround time is faster right now.
And what would you say that is from someone submitting their application and you issuing the license?
On the assumption that the application is complete. Okay, that's a big assumption.
Yeah.
If it comes in complete, whether it's by direct endorsement or whether it's through whatever, with an NCARB certificate record, I would say the turnaround time is probably within about a week. A week or
Nice.
so.
That's
Good.
wonderful. Thank
Good.
you.
Sometimes
Yeah,
faster,
I
but I would say on the outset.
So any more discussion about 6B? 6C, applications for the corporate practice of architecture, and the department approved the following applications. I would say that this is evidence to me that actually that Bob is turning these around. These are probably a little bit more complicated to review. And at least 2 on this list are the direct result of DAS contracts, I believe, because in both cases, there are women-owned firms. We issued a minority women contract a few months ago. And it turned out that both these firms, which were listed as LLCs, did not hold corporate practices. And we flagged that to them. One of them objected, saying, well, it was only one member of the LLC, therefore they didn't need to, but we clarified that with legal, and yes, they do. And now they are having their corporate license presented and I guess approved, and therefore we can finish with their contracts. Any
There's a lot
discussion
of
about
back and
these?
forth.
Sorry?
I'm sorry, no, just there was a lot of back and forth with these corporate applications in terms of getting all the T's crossed and the I's dotted.
Right. It's a bigger lift.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, some did mention that, they're awaiting, approval. They need to get this for DAS, and nevertheless, you have to be compliant. So you need to do what you need to do, and
Don't call yourself a corporation practicing architecture unless you're a corporation practicing architecture in the state of Connecticut.
Right.
So we squared
I
that
didn't know
away.
we had to do that. I didn't really. Yes.
Okay, good. Any other comments you want to make, Bob, about any of this group? I mean, you've approved them, so.
No, I don't. There are no comments, David. We're all set with these.
Okay. Anybody, any other questions? Nope.
I have a comment though. This point. I did want to mention, first of all, David, that the certificates for the newly licensed will be available probably Tuesday or Wednesday of next week for you to pick up to sign for your signature and for the commissioner's signature.
Okay.
Also, I want to thank Bob for his assistance in getting me all the information so that we could put this together. I appreciate it. There's also, there was 2 licensed individuals from 2016, I believe it was, that did not, we weren't doing the certificates at the time, so they're also included. So I want to make sure that you're aware of that for signature. We said that we would do this, we would include them in.
Sure. Was I board chair there? Should I do my Ed Jeter signature?
I don't know. I don't think that, to be honest with you, it's up to you. I mean,
No, I was being silly.
Okay.
I apologize for that.
Also, I sent out
I'll use a red pen.
invitations to the ALB members and the commissioner to attend our online recognition event. And so I'm hoping that you'll all register to attend. And right now, we have quite a few of the newly licensed that have already registered. There was 26 total, and I believe there is 14 already that have registered to attend that recognition.
Oh,
So
nice.
just wanted to let you know. So thank you.
Gina, thank you. And just let me know and I can pick those up. You know, you can drop them out the window. I'll catch them as soon as you know.
May I,
As soon as you know.
may I ask a question for David and Gina on this, on the wall certificate issue?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. How should we handle reciprocity applicants? I've got a few people that are not newly, not where they're applying by reciprocity and they're interested in a wall certificate. Is that something we would still oblige, or do we kind of?
Well, we really haven't been,
you know,
because
it's kind of like, it's like, right.
Well, you can tell them to contact me directly, Bob, and we do charge a fee. We don't charge the newly licensed from the year, so that, you know, since we've instituted and we started in 2018, so 2018, 19, and 20, which is the ones that are receiving them in January this year, we do that at no charge. That's actually something we do as a donation, to these newly licensed. Anyone prior to that or any of their reciprocity, if they contact us, we do charge a fee. So we just let them know what the fee is, and then what we need is their license number and their licensing date, and how they need how the certificate should read, if there's a middle initial or whatever, and then we'll take it from there.
and that's a reason, to me, that's a very reasonable response too, because this is something that the department used to do and doesn't any longer. And AIA stepped up, and there's a lot of expense and coordination involved with that, and we appreciate that very much. And also noting that anybody that wants that gets a certificate for I think for the accounting board, it's done. There's a fee, and they get like they don't even get a wet signature or a real seal. They get whatever sort of Photoshop thing that they get. This is a lot nicer. So the only logistical question, Bob, is if they want that, they need to coordinate that with Gina immediately. In terms of,
I don't get many requests, but I know there's a cycle that AIA produces these signatures. But when so the directive is then, if with the permission of the board and AIA, then I can refer them to Gina.
Yeah, and maybe it's a next year thing, I guess, because I think the clock ran out this year.
Yep.
We do it for every so we order them every January, Bob. So if they didn't make this group, because it's actually, since we send these out to be printed at a printer, just so that we get the right card stock and everything too. So I like to do this in a bulk order, because then it's much easier to maintain who we're sending out to than doing them as one-off. So they could order it. I mean, we wouldn't bill them or charge them for them until we order them, but they could put the request in and they would be ordered for next year, unless there was a large group of them that came in, say by June, and I had like 20 of them to do, then I think I would do it half the year. So it just depends on what the requests are. And we let them know that when they ask us, when they send us an email.
Very well. Understood.
Any comments or concerns of any person present today?
I have a question. Circling back to the apparent conflict between DCP corporate ownership requirements and the minority requirements. David, does your department have goals or requirements to hire X percentage of minority firms?
We do not have direct goals the way they exist in other states. So we do report. So whenever there's a construction job that goes out for bid, then those projects have specific minority goals from the contractor's perspective, as you're well aware. The theory is that when it comes to the sort of the value of, so we do report on it, okay? And we do encourage minority firms to participate in our process. And we do have specific minority contracts, like we have this minority architectural one, we have a minority civil firm, we have on-call. And minority firms do get additional points in our scoring system for selection if they can provide evidence that they're a minority firm. This is where this whole discussion started, is, when we're doing this, but we don't have specific goals.
Okay, so it's nice to have, but not necessary to have, as far as your percentage of minority.
Yeah, like we don't,
contracting.
if we're doing a formal selection, we don't say you have to have 17% combined minority / women-owned businesses or something like
Right.
that. The
All
way
right.
they do in
So-
Massachusetts, whatever their number is.
So whatever the answer is, or whatever is negotiated between the legal teams for both departments, it's not going to adversely impact any of the work that you need to do, or any of the requirements that you need to meet, because there aren't any requirements or goals, specific requirements or goals. Okay, thank you.
From
Hey, David, just a minor point of cleaning up the agenda. Number 2 and number 7 are identical. I think we should take one of those 2 off, and I think comments of concerned parties should be at the end, and number 2 should go away, because it's the exact same statement both times.
Yeah, that's an
Bill?
old carryover. Go ahead, Bob.
You know what? I apologize. My sound is coming in and out here a little bit, but that was a directive from the department. My director specifically, I said the exact same thing, Phil. I said, but there was some hook as to why it needed to be in there, and I'll double check with him. But I'm very much aware of that it's the same thing at the beginning and the end. But I will check with him again. I was told to make
It's
sure
not
that
a big deal.
all the
If
agenda.
you say that way, I don't really.
No, I know. I'll find out again to make sure that's how it's supposed to be. But I was told in very clear terms that we need to put that in.
Maybe it's because if you have some very angry participant, they don't want to wait till the end. They need to get it off their chest in the beginning, and then all through the discussion, maybe somebody else will come up with something they want to talk about. Which I have just one of those things. Bob,
Well, so number 7 could just say any new business too.
Right. But I just wanted to, Bob, when did you rejoin or get back from your time away from the state? When was that? About this time last year? Or was it a little bit afterwards?
It was January 6th of last year.
I think your participation with the board is greatly appreciated. I think things have been running smoother since you got back and provide all that history and expertise. And so we're looking forward to another healthy year and continued participation. And you can't retire in 2022. Okay, sorry.
Bob,
Thank
we
you all
missed
very
you.
much. You know what? I missed you guys, men and women, terribly. I'm happy to do this. I really am. And the people are with this condition, the situation we're in right now with the pandemic and all the people that I've been dealing with, the consumers, there's been so kind and so grateful for the state's reach out, from all our divisions. It's just, it's nice to see that people are very grateful for the help, and it's just, it's a good thing. But thank you all very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you, David.
David, I just wanted to make a comment on item 6C, that I'm pleased that DAS is looking at female and minority architects. I assume it's 5 and 6 were the ones, seeing as they're Connecticut firms. Maybe they're not. But
Yeah,
I think
both those firms were awarded on-call contracts.
excellent, excellent. That's great to hear. Thank you
Pending
very
having all
much.
their certificates in place.
Right. Thank you.
Anything else?
I actually agree with having public comment at the beginning and the end of the meeting. I think it's fair that someone might want to bring something up before we address our agenda topics, and then someone might want to speak after the agenda topics.
Does extend our meeting another 6.5 minutes though. So anything else, anybody? Manny, Gina, if not, move to adjourn next meeting, March 19th.
I'm good for today. Thank you.
Okay,
All right, guys.
so long. See you next time.
Good. Stay safe.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Bye.
Thank
So just
you.
seconded, David and Phil, right?
Sorry?
Sure. Yes.
Sounds good.
Good to see
Thank
you
you.
all. Take
You too.
care.
All right.
Angela?
Bye.
Angela?
Yes.
I will email the credentials for Ms. Shrubbersheet to you,
Okay.
okay?
Thank you.
I have, there's four PDFs I'll send over to you today.
All right. Thanks a lot, Bob.
Thank you too. Bye.
Bye.